What's going on, guys? Draco Invictus here, and today we are going to be taking a look at some creamy Parmesan garlic bacon Brussels sprouts. Let's get to it. Alright guys, so it looks pretty good, right? Now I'm going to show you how to make it. Not a whole lot of ingredients here, some good quality stuff though. So if you're looking for something keto friendly or just a delicious side dish, hell, you could eat this thing as a meal. Very simple to do. You're going to need 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts. Luckily, my grocer sells them in 1 pound bags. I've got 1 pound here, and I got another pound already sitting in the fridge, or sitting in the sink. You're gonna need 5 cloves of garlic. I've already skinned these. You're gonna wanna dice them finely. Go with fresh garlic. It's not that hard to deal with. Don't skimp out buying the stuff in a tube. Go fresh garlic. We're also gonna need 12 ounces of bacon. I'm using a thick cut bacon here. But you could do thin cut. Again, you're going to be cutting it into smaller pieces anyway. So just use what you can get. But yeah, 12 ounces of bacon. And luckily, that's a package. You're also going to need 1 pint of heavy whipping cream. So we'll be using this whole thing. And then you're going to want about 1 cup of an Italian blend of cheese. And that blend is Parmesan and mozzarella. Now, I can get this from my local grocer. It's an Italian-style cheese blend, and it comes with mozzarella, provolone, Asiago, Parmesan Romano, and Fontina cheeses. So mine is going to taste a little bit different than what you might be able to do, but the ones that you really want are the mozzarella and the Parmesan. Okay, so if you did half a cup of each finely shredded, you're good to go. This, I'm going to be using half of this bag. Hell, I may be using more. You can't go wrong with more cheese, right? So that's it. That's all this recipe calls for. And now you have the list of ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead getting some prep work done here. So we'll do a little time lapse, watching me clean off the Brussels sprouts and dicing up the garlic, and then we'll get to cooking. All right, catch you soon. All right, guys, so we've got all the Brussels sprouts cleaned up, and now we just want to trim off just the end here. Let me make sure that we got that in the camera, yeah. There we go. We want to trim off just a little bit of this end here, and then we're going to cut them in half. Okay, and then they'll be ready to go. So I'm going to just go ahead and dump them out here on my cutting board so that I can use this bowl to put the finished pieces in. Let me tell you a little story here, since you guys are watching me dump Brussels sprouts out on the cutting board. Oh, that one ran away. Glad I washed my sink today. So, a few months ago, a very dear friend of mine moved into a new place. And so she called me up and said, hey, we're finally set up here in the new place, and we want you to come over for dinner. This is her and her teenage son. So, I'm not liking this one very much. Sometimes you might get a little bit of a... Just depends on how fresh your Brussels sprouts are. Might get a little bit where you gotta scrub it a little extra hard. So anyway, she says, why don't you come on over, have dinner with us, and I don't even know what we're gonna cook yet. But we finally got the house set up for guests, and we want you to be the first guest. So I said, awesome. So we went over and ended up going to the store, and we're kind of walking around, and she said, I don't know, what do you want to eat? So we found some steaks that we're going to cook up, and we're thinking about sides. And of course, I'm always trying to be, very conscious of the carbs that I intake. That's why this is a keto dish, because it is the net carbs is very low. So anyway, I found this recipe online, and so we followed the recipe that night, and it was really, really good. But I knew that I could do better. So of course I put in more garlic, I put in more bacon, I put in more cheese, and so that is what I am going to show you guys here. And I'm going to quit rambling now and let you guys, maybe I'll do a nice fade after I'm all done here, or I don't know, maybe a montage. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet. But I'll see you guys on the flip side. Alright guys, nice and fine. Some of this doesn't look very fine, but it actually is. So that's it for prep, other than cutting the bacon up. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the stove where I've already cut up the bacon, and we'll get it cooking. Alright guys, so we're getting this bacon cooked down. The original recipe called to get rid of any excess bacon fat after we were done getting this cooked down. I don't do that. Again, this is keto friendly, so you're trying to keep the fat content up, and honestly, it adds to the actual creaminess. You're getting that bacon flavor all throughout. It's really wonderful. So we'll get this cooked down, and really it doesn't, like if I'm making bacon and eggs, I like my bacon a little bit chewy. Some people like it like charcoal. But since this is getting mixed with everything else, it's not really imperative, you know, if you like extra chewy bacon, it doesn't really matter, because once you include the butter and the heavy cream and the cheese, it's gonna, that bacon's gonna soften up. You're not going to have crispy bacon in this dish. So just understand that, and just get it cooked. We want it cooked, and then we're going to put it over here on this paper towel, because then we're going to put our 2 tablespoons of butter into the pan, kind of like to deglaze it a little bit, and then we'll throw our Brussels sprouts into the pan, let them cook up. After 6-7 minutes, then we put in our garlic, and then we add our bacon and our heavy cream back in, bring that to a boil, and then you let it simmer. Okay, only for a couple minutes. Now, if you have a pan that's able to go into the oven, then you can cook everything in this one pan. Unfortunately, I don't think this pan, I can actually put it into the oven, so that's why I have one of these little throwaway aluminum dishes here, or you could use a casserole dish or anything about that size. This is going to be excuse me. This is going to be a little bit thicker than if you did like a casserole dish or anything like that. But I often think about if I'm cooking it in a pan in the oven, the pan's not going to be much bigger than this is anyway. So this should work out just fine. I do have another one just in case I have a little overflow. But our bacon is cooking down now. It's looking delicious. My house smells incredible. I've got bacon and garlic. Oh man, just awesome. So if you're new to my channel and this is the first time that you've visited me, then go ahead and smash on that subscribe button, click the bell notification icon so that you get notified the next time I post a video. I don't often do cooking videos. I've done 2, I think. But I like doing them from time to time. I was encouraged by Volt Girl and by J Pick of Death. They have this wonderful gamers who cook, or cooking with gamers kind of a thing going on, and it's a phenomenal playlist. Vault Girl is a fantastic chef, so you need to go check her out. But I will on occasion put up another video, different dishes that I enjoy making. It might be it might be a pasta dish, a cold pasta dish for a party. Or it might be a phenomenal side dish like this. Oh, I forgot to tell you what we're going to be cooking as a main course with this side dish. Now, of course, the main course, that's not our focus today. This is our focus today. But I would be remiss if I did not point out the beautiful bone-in ribeye steak that I'm going to be cooking to go along with this dish. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and leave this sitting out right here because we're going to have to put it in the toaster oven, which has a convection on it. So it's actually really great for cooking a steak. So our bacon's getting down there, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and do a nice transition to when the bacon's all done. So just sit back and enjoy. All right, guys, our bacon is done. I mean, you can see it's nice and crispy. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this out. Grab this. Release the bacon. Release the bacon! All right, so let's pull that away from the burner. We're gonna throw this back in here. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of our butter. I did a fairly good job of keeping the pan pretty clean. So, there we go. Put our butter away. And of course, this butter is going to mix in with this bacon fat. It's going to be fantastic. And we're just going to go ahead and dump all the Brussels sprouts right into the pan. So at this point, as we're starting to, once we get a good coat on all the Brussels sprouts, then we'll add our salt and pepper. And of course, you know what kind of level of salt and pepper you like on your dishes. There is no measurement as far as this dish goes for salt and pepper. It's just a matter of personal preference. So you do you. There we go. That's the best advice that I can give you. Some recipes, it's really important that you have this much salt or this much pepper. Actually, I've never heard it for pepper, but I've certainly heard it for salt. So now we're going to brown these up a little bit with all this lovely grease. And there's no grease in the bottom, I mean, very little grease in the bottom of this pan. And that's why I don't get rid of it, because between the butter and the grease, you get a much better coat on the Brussels sprouts, and which is just leading to a better dish. I know, fat, a better dish, right? All right, so we've got these all nicely coated. I'm going to go ahead and start salting and peppering. Oh, and by the way, I'm using pink Himalayan salt in the grinder. And remember, we're also using cheese and other things as well, so keep that in mind when you're salting and peppering. I like a fair amount of pepper. I'm not super crazy about pepper, but remember, there's also Brussels sprouts underneath there that aren't getting any. But once we toss this around again, everything will have a good coat to it. I'm also a firm believer in properly seasoning while you're cooking instead of seasoning after it's done. So, to each their own, I suppose. But I look at it this way. I want salt on my steak before it cooks, not after. I would never reach for a salt shaker while sitting in a restaurant with a steak sitting in front of me. So it's the same thing. You know, the chef should have put salt and pepper on the steak before he cooked it, or she. All right, so I'm gonna let this continue to cook down. Now is a great time to set your oven. That's 375 degrees on bake. That is where you want the oven to be. So now is a great time to get it preheated. All right, guys. So when you start seeing some nice charring, like on this piece here and several other pieces, like that piece there, okay? As you're stirring this up and you're starting to see some charred edges, that is about the time that you're going to want to put in your garlic. So let me grab this garlic. See if I can do all this one-handed. Not bad. Now you're going to mix in this garlic. Now, you don't need to cook it for very long with the garlic in there before you put in the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to go set the camera back down, and by the time that's done, I'll give it a couple more stirs, and then we'll be ready to put the rest of the ingredients in. All right, guys, so here we are, giving this a couple tosses, getting that garlic mixed really well in there. This smells so incredible. The garlic's really, you know, it's an aromatic, so it's doing its job because my whole house smells like garlic now. And we're getting some nice char on these pieces of the Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are in the family with cauliflower and broccoli and kale, so they're all considered superfoods. So you're getting a good amount of fiber and a lot of nutrients and stuff like that. And because we're not boiling the Brussels sprouts, we're retaining a little bit more than that. I haven't eaten boiled Brussels sprouts in years. I don't really care for it. But roasting Brussels sprouts or cooking it like this is one of my favorite side dishes to cook because Brussels sprouts are so good for you, and it just tastes delicious. All right, so we've got this mixed in really well. I'm going to go ahead and grab our heavy cream. And look at that. Our oven's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and add the heavy cream. By the way, I'm running on high on my big element. Don't be afraid of your stove. So we'll get all that in there. I'll give it a good stir. Kind of get everything well coated. And then we're going to add our bacon back into this. So I'm going to get everything into that cream because we're heating up that cream. It was kind of cool. It wasn't cold because I had it sitting on the counter for the last 15 minutes. But it's going to start bubbling up here pretty quick. So let's go ahead and grab our bacon. We'll put our bacon back into this dish. You may have tried other versions of cauliflower before, like boiled cauliflower, like what I had when I was a kid, and you don't care for cauliflower, for Brussels sprouts. There we go, boiled Brussels sprouts. There we go. I encourage you to give this dish a try because you may not have liked Brussels sprouts before, but this may change your opinion of eating Brussels sprouts because they're very good for you, and I think that given an open mind, you might really enjoy it. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera or not, but you may be able to see it that we're now at a boil here. So I'm going to let this boil for about a minute, and then I'm going to turn it. I'm just going to turn the burner off because at that point I'm going to be transferring into our other dish. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to that part because you don't need to sit here and watch heavy cream boil for a minute, right? All right, catch you guys in a second. All right, guys, I've gone ahead and turned the burner off. The cream is thickening up really, really well. As you can see, it's not as liquidy. Is that a word? There we go. I've only stirred it a couple times just to make sure that nothing was sticking to the bottom. But we're at the point now that we're going to do the transfer. But before I do that, again, where I differ from the original recipe just calls for cheese all on the top as you put it in the oven. I like mixing my cheese in it and putting it on top. So now I'm just going to grab some cheese, and no, I'm not doing any precise measurements here. But I'm just going to kind of give this thing a good top coat. And then I'm going to stir it in. There we go. That's probably good. Now I'm just going to kind of mix this cheese in with everything else, and it's going to thicken up almost immediately as that cheese starts to melt. And basically this whole time, all we've been trying to do is soften up these Brussels sprouts. Because as you know, if you've ever had a Brussels sprout, that they're pretty tough. Not tough, but pretty hard. And which is why we typically always boiled them to soften them up so that you could eat them. But that's essentially what we've been doing this whole time with the cream and the butter and the bacon grease and all that stuff. Is we've just been softening up these Brussels sprouts because they're going to go into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my little tray here, and I'm going to see if I can't fit. Let's do it over here, huh? Let's get rid of that. I got my steak prepped, and it's in the old toaster oven, and I haven't turned it on yet. But again, you're not here for the steak. This is what you're here for. All right, so let's put this over here. And this should pretty well just slide right into this dish. And turn here so you guys can see it. Luckily, my oven light is hitting right on it. Look at that. That is perfect. All right, so we'll set this back over here. We'll get this all evened out. There is so much flavor in this dish. It's just incredible. All right, so now, I mean, this thing is full. Like I said, you could put it in a casserole dish, spread it out evenly. This is pretty much done. Basically what we want to do now is we want to melt the cheese that we're going to put on the top. We want to give it a nice golden crust across the entire thing. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some more cheese. And we're just going to kind of sprinkle it on here and give it a good coating. All right, guys. So my steak, all I have to do is broil it off to get a good sear on the outside, which tells me that this should be pretty ready to go. Let's take a look. Oh, it looks mighty tasty. We're starting to get some browning here on the top. So what I'm going to do is, since my steak is going to be broiling off up here in the toaster oven, I'm going to go ahead and turn the broiler on here and get some more browning on this cheese. Next time you see this, I'll have it out of the oven and we'll take a look. Stay tuned. All right, guys, here is the star of the show. This thing came out perfect. We got a beautiful golden crust across the entire thing. It's still incredibly hot. I'm gonna let it set for probably another 5 minutes before I end up plating this, but my steak needs to rest anyway before I cut into it. And while the toaster oven does a decent job, I want a better char on my steaks. So in an upcoming video, don't hold me to a time frame here, but in an upcoming video, I'm going to figure out a better way of putting a char on my steak because I don't have a barbecue grill right now. So I'm going to find some other way to put a good char on my steak, and I will make a food video about it. But yeah, here it is. I mean, it's in all of its glory. You know, it's hot. This is a beautiful, beautiful dish. It tastes fantastic. And you may not like Brussels sprouts, but you've never had Brussels sprouts like this, you need to give it a try. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and transition into me being all plated up. All right, guys, so here it is. I've made a better steak. I'm sure it's gonna taste fantastic. But again, the star of the show is the creamy garlic Parmesan Brussels sprouts. These things are fantastic. And I will continue to make this dish. I love this dish. And it is just a wonderful thing. And the beauty is if you make it in something like that disposable aluminum tray, you could make this for a party. And I mean, this is only a quarter of it, and that's because I really enjoy it. But being as thick as it was, you could probably cut this thing and it would serve at least 6 people. Well, I say that, but once they get a bite of it, they're going to want more. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Let me know. If you have any questions at all, hit me up down in the comment section below. I will be doing more cooking videos. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's something different. And if you're new to my channel, I want to thank you for coming by. Make sure to hit that sub button, hit the bell notification icon so that you get notified the next time I post a video. And coming very, very soon, I will be launching a second YouTube channel devoted to woodworking and crafts. Not like macrame and stuff like that, but I'm talking about some cool crafts. But I'll be posting videos about my shop build because I don't have any workbenches at all. I will be doing different craft videos, different construction videos, things that maybe you could do in your spare time to put a few extra dollars in your pocket. So stick around for that. I will be doing a launch video on this channel telling everyone about my woodworking channel. So the only way you're really going to know is if you sub and hit that bell notification icon so that you get notified. I am done talking. This has rested long enough. I'm going to go eat. You guys take care. This is Draco Invictus saying this has been the greatest day in my life. See ya!